So here we are, part 2, communicating online, advantages of using email. So of course the advantages are speed. They can be accessed from anywhere these days via phone, via internet, or a Outlook type client, email client. We can manage the messages and save them. Of course the cost is hugely reduced over sending regular mail. That's why we get so much spam. Can you imagine if those spammers had to send 1 million spam messages via United States Postal Service? They wouldn't do it, of course. The majority have access now. Students, employees, everyone has access to email. We can reduce the turnaround. We can access it from cyber cafes, of course, where there might be kiosks with computers. One of the things that emails allowed us to do is, like it or not, work 24/7. I can access your student emails from home in the evening, during work hours, on the weekends, etc. That comes with both positives and negatives. Now, when we talk about dealing with email technical problems, the most common technical problem with email is simply fat fingering or mistyping the email address you were sending an email to. For example, I might put Eric Magidson when it needed to be eric.magidson@gmail. So if I just put Eric Magidson at Gmail, that might be someone else's email address besides my own. So unreadable attachments. Well, because of viruses and spyware and things like that, programs like Outlook limits what kind of attachments or file extensions can be sent within an Outlook email. So they might actually, Outlook doesn't allow you to send a .exe or an executable file as an attachment. But there is a way around that, and what you can do is change the file extension, that .exe, change it to a .txt, for example, and then inside the body of the email, give instructions to the recipient of the email that they want to download and save the file. Right-click, rename, and change the attachment. That way they could open it. Of course, another option, and probably the best, is just to zip up the file and send it that way. Just like mailboxes have size limits, regular mailboxes, so does Outlook. Up at the college, we have limits on student email boxes as well as professor email boxes. Professors are a little larger. That allows us to not exceed a quota. Okay, so that we don't fill up the mail server with a bunch of junk mail, etc. We really need to manage our mail. As you can see in my Outlook here, my Gmail, I'll bring that right up. I've created folders to save things in and subfolders such as the Concordia MBA. So when I get an email in my inbox that relates to that, I can drag it over there and save it. Of course, I really need to ask myself, is this an email I need to save? If not, let's just go ahead and delete it. Attachments, of course, are big things that fill up your email box quickly. So if you get rid of those emails with attachments or save the attachment down and then delete the email, then you're going to be in good shape. Other options would be to archive. That's placing messages on the local computer. It takes them off of the server so that they're no longer part of that mailbox size limitation. But remember, at that point, you better be backing up your computer so that you don't lose all your archived emails. Content in emails is just like communicating person to person. You need to be very careful of hasty responses. If you're not aware, when you type something in all capitals, to most people that know about email, that means that you're yelling, so we don't want to type things in all caps. Misinterpretation, because we can't see the person. Remember, especially with jokes via email, there is a good chance that someone finds many of the things you send humorous until that one email that they don't find humorous. So think about what you're sending, and is it a business and you're sending these through business, or is it personal, etc. So be careful of those hasty responses. We can all be in a mood and send a hasty response. I've done that myself many times. Dealing with unsolicited emails, so spam. Today our email servers have spam filters that hopefully will delete out a bunch of spam before it fills up your inbox. And if not, you can go in, especially using an Outlook client, we can go in and it's simply as clicking on the email, right click, and saying that this is junk mail. Now we can add the sender, which means the unique individual address, to our junk mail. We can add the domain, which means any email that comes in, like in this case, @example.com, all of that would be in the safe senders list. But a domain in the junk list would mean everything's going to be junk. So we don't want to necessarily do things like @Hotmail, etc. So asynchronous communications, this is where communication is not synchronized, so we don't both have to be online. Email is asynchronous. I can send you an email and you can reply to it an hour from now, 2 hours from now, 2 days from now, or not reply at all. Whereas synchronous requires both of us to be online in real time. So when we think about synchronous communications, we're thinking about things like instant messaging. So email lists really aren't used all that much anymore. This is where we could actually reply to an email or subscribe to an email list so that when someone emailed that specific email address, I would also receive the email address, sort of like an auto forwarding. Today we tend to use things like Google Groups in place of this. So here's a little bit more on email lists. Again, I encourage you, go through the PowerPoint in detail. Message boards or threads, this is where we can start a message and on a message board and multiple people can reply to it, comment on it, etc. So CAPTCHAs, where CAPTCHAs came to be is that a lot of the processes on the internet started to become automated to where people could write software programs that would go out and automate processes. And the problem with that, similar to your blog, is they want to know that there's a human on the other end and not a computer creating massive blog accounts per se. So what the CAPTCHA is as you can see, sort of a funky little picture, sometimes of words or letters or a combination thereof, that you then need to type into the box. The problem is the computer can't read the picture. So that's how they know there's a human on the other end. So we see these a lot when we're authenticating or creating new accounts, etc. That way somebody doesn't create a program that does it automatically and fills up servers with bogus accounts. I'm not going to get much into blogs because we've talked about blogs, but there are other kinds of blogs. A blog sphere is a collection of blogs. This may be a collection of blogs about golf or a collection of blogs about running, etc. We can actually do a question blog where people can ask questions and experts can reply. Link blogs are just blogs with links to other sites, etc. So these are all types of blogs. Photo blogs, we blog on politics, travel, etc. A moblog is a mobile blog, and this tends to be a blog that we've created, but we've specialized it to be viewed on a mobile device. Getting into video sharing when we talk about communication online, well, that's YouTube. And that's what you're using right here to watch this video. That's the primary video sharing. To think that YouTube has only been around for 5 years is amazing. They just had their 5th birthday. But suddenly we can communicate with video and audio, not just audio. Streaming video, streaming audio, the biggest thing is bandwidth. We have to make sure that we have enough, and sometimes it needs to temporarily stop the video so it can buffer enough of the video for you to keep watching it. RSS feeds are really simple syndication. This is where someone might have a blog, and instead of having to go out and read their blog, you can actually create an RSS feed. And we can do this right in an Outlook client. We can actually go in and use the RSS feed in an Outlook client to read the blogs or have the blogs come down to Outlook. So here's an example of an RSS feed. Google Gmail, by the way, has a RSS reader as well. So just kind of be aware of that. So I'm running out of time again. I'll catch you. We'll finish this up in part 3.